What's going on, everyone? iLootGames here, and I have a very different video for you guys that I believe is important for everyone to understand. Now, if you are not interested in hearing views that do not align with yours, then I suggest you close the video now. I want to preface this video by saying this is all based on facts from the developers and people involved with the creation of Bloodhound. After sharing these facts with you, I then want you to listen to a quick interview at the end with a member of my community named TheStrijdi. TheStrijdi is also non-binary, and I believe hearing from them is much more powerful than hearing from me. My only opinion through all of this that I try to compel to you, my audience, is that the world is full of so many different kinds of people, religions, and beliefs. Respect each other, learn about each other, and be happy for each other. I don't want to make you feel like I'm forcing any opinion on you. There is no reason to force opinions on others, and I hope you do not feel that this video is forcing anyone's opinion on you. Just take this as a moment to try to understand people who may be different from you or may have very different views from you. So let's get into it. Now, I baited you in with, is Bloodhound a female or a male? The answer is Bloodhound is non-binary. Perhaps that is a term you've never heard of. Well, what it means is that Bloodhound identifies as neither male nor female and uses they/them pronouns. Remember, Bloodhound is a character created by Respawn. So let us take a look at the most recent tweets by the developers instead of diving back into the history where a lot of this was explained, and listen to one of the writers that created Bloodhound's story. To help you understand the people that I'm going to be showing you tweets from, first we have Allegra Clark, the voice actor for Bloodhound. She was also the voice actor in the animation short. Then we have Tom Casiello, a writer at Respawn who is part of the team who created and writes the story of who Bloodhound is. And the last person I'll be sharing tweets from is Manny Hagopian, who is the senior writer at Respawn. I want you to just read a couple of Mr. Casiello's tweets when the Old Ways cinematic went live. So insanely excited for all of our players, both binary and non-binary, to get their first real glimpse into Bloodhound's life. This short has been part of our lives so long, I'd forget it wasn't out yet and almost tweet something. If you relate to Bloodhound's story, we need the new paths you're carving. Those who are used to the old ways may push back, but your evolution, remain true to who you are. The next time someone asks me who cares if a video game character is non-binary, my response will be to show them an album full of screenshots of my mentions today. It matters. You all matter. You'd think they understand the all matters part, wouldn't you? Thank you. So answer me this, 2 X chromosomes or XY? Why does it matter? I want everyone reading these tweets for the first time to see the passion the Respawn team has behind the message they're trying to share. Sometimes it's not easy to pave these paths, and yet Respawn chose to do it. They decided to include a gay character and a non-binary character, 2 things they did not have to do. Let's jump over to some of the posts from Allegra Clark, the voice actor for Bloodhound. Also, I don't know why anyone assumes the Old Way short as proof that Bloodhound is a girl. No, Bloodhound is still non-binary in the short. Their voice is higher because they're younger. There's no conspiracy as to how they were assigned at birth. Don't read into things that aren't there. Gosh, I always do this to myself. I make my mentions explode this way, but I have to remind people that the character is non-binary. Sometimes because people just don't know, which is okay, but sometimes because they need to know it's not okay to misgender people. I know Bloodhound is a fictional character. We all know that, but if you can't respect pixels, you're certainly not respecting the flesh and blood non-binary person either. Besides, Bloodhound means as much to non-binary/queer people as whatever character you greatly admire means to you. As a cis actress who stumbled into playing a non-binary character that ended up being a huge deal, the least I can do, especially as someone who inadvertently took a role from a non-binary performer, is advocate for the community that looks up to this incredible character. So Bloodhound is a girl or what? Bloodhound is non-binary. What does that mean? Sorry, I'm only 14, looks like a girl. No worries, it means that Bloodhound identifies as neither male nor female and uses they/them pronouns. Okay, so they think of themselves, they're not any gender but is biologically a girl? Biology doesn't matter unless the individual chooses to disclose that they were assigned male or female at birth. As for Bloodhound, I have no idea, and it's never mattered. Just because I'm a woman doesn't make them biologically a woman, you know? Well, Bloodhound is from the old days, and back then they probably didn't use non-binary, possibly a girl. Okay, I know I said I was done, but I just want to you realize that Bloodhound is from the exact same time period as literally every other legend, right? Regardless, plenty of indigenous cultures have concept of non-binary gender identities. It's just new in the West. And then the last tweets I want to share with you guys because I believe it really embodies Manny himself and what I'm also trying to convey in this video. So these tweets are by the senior writer at Respawn, Manny Hagopian. Hi, I'm a writer who wrote and helped create the amazing character Bloodhound. Since day one, Bloodhound has been referred to by the pronouns they, them, their. This is who they are. This is how they identify. It's okay to struggle with that concept as we grow and evolve. I am also learning every day. We never stop learning. These conversations about gender identity are vital for everyone, and especially for those afraid to be seen or heard. I'm listening and I'll continue to. Thank you all for enjoying our stories, friends. Let's keep going. That is why I felt compelled after reading his tweet to make this video. Because, just like he said, these conversations about gender identity are vital for everyone. Instead of seeing comments where maybe people just don't know, maybe they're not informed about what non-binary is, I figured let's just make a video, let's get it all out there, and let's talk about it. And now, without further ado, let's get into the interview with TheStrijdi. Okay, so I would like to introduce TheStrijdi. TheStrijdi here is also someone who recognizes themselves as, or identifies themselves as non-binary. And I have had TheStridi's help in producing this video today. And I just wanted to ask them some questions so that you can hear it straight from someone's mouth who goes through this, who is very well informed on all of this information that I shared in this video today with you guys. The first question I want to ask you, TheStrijdi, is what do you think about people who say male and female are the only true genders? And then can you give me your definition of genders and just explain that, all of that to people?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people think sort of that male and female are the only true genders, which is it's not exactly the whole truth. What people who say this actually mean is um stuff like what is their sex at birth, which is basically what is in their pants. And people conflate that to the whole what is your gender thing because that's the way that society treats it. When in reality, there's just a whole spectrum of genders, and even beyond the male and female body, there are other biological bodies you can have. Like, there are people who have the intersex condition, which means they have biology that is a mixture of male and female. So, really, the way you look at it is like it's not true at all.
And how would you yourself define yourself so that people understand? Like, well, for the people who don't know who TheStrijdi is, they're not on the stream, they don't know you. How do you
Yeah.
define yourself and how do you recognize yourself?
Yep. As a non binary individual, I experience a lot of basically what you see people doing to Bloodhound online, which is people who say, that there is no such thing as the non binary gender, male and female is the only thing. One particular experience that I get a lot is like if I'm playing Apex online and I'm using voice chat, like a question I get asked all the time is, are you a girl or a young boy? Because that is how my voice sounds, apparently. And like, what do I tell them? Do I tell them neither? And then like I have to risk them like being like bigoted at me.
And so what do you respond usually in that situation?
I mean, I try to be true to myself, I say neither, and I try to leave it at that. I'm my disposition is to try and hope for the best outcome.
Hmm. And do you usually experience some negative responses, or how does that usually go?
Um, I do find that not everybody knows what it means. Like
Hmm.
when I say that, they're like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And then it becomes up to me to educate them on non-binary issues, which is kind of hard to do when you're in the middle of a fast-paced first-person shooter.
Right, right. So is the non-binary wording and definition, is that like a new thing? Is it a modern thing? Is this, or has this been around for a long time?
Yeah, a lot of people assume that non-binary is very modern. It's only happened recently in like the last 10 years or something like that. But if you look deeper into the gay and trans community, you will see that there are people who are a lot older than me who are, like full adults who have lived this way their whole lives. And if you look around the world, you will find that there are a lot of different cultures that have non-binary genders. Like you have Native American Two Spirits, or you have the Mahu in Hawaii, and there are the Bisu in Indonesia. And it's all over the place, and it's just been stifled a lot by a lot of modern movements, or
Yeah.
not necessarily modern, but like think like the 1900s.
Well, I think a lot of it may have to do with that these what we call movements are they have bigger voices now. They're able to connect and grow a community and really push out that hey, this is how we feel, even though if you guys don't see us this way, we want to let you guys know how we define ourselves, and they're educating people on a bigger scale. And maybe a lot of people, they don't recognize it because older generations, they may have never grown up even hearing these words, and now these words are everywhere because your guys' voices are everywhere. Like, you can be heard anywhere and everywhere now. The world's completely different. There's no longer room for just one path. There's room for everyone. Everyone can have their way. Everyone can speak their mind, and I think it's an amazing thing. And I also wanted to ask you, how do you think that like ties into Bloodhound?
Well, the thing is that you have to bear in mind that even in Nordic culture, gender norms were sort of loose. So you didn't just have, like big manly Vikings with like bushy beards. You had, like, think about the Norse god Loki, who has
Mm-hmm.
been depicted many times as taking the female form and has even, born children. Like that is a male person who has been more loosely defined and not as rigid. So, that's a precedent in Norse culture. But you also have to bear in mind that Bloodhound did not live in Viking times. Apex takes place like way far into the future, even from now. So think about how people are already more accepting of non-binary genders today, and like times that by 100 because they're in the future now and they've had more exposure to it.
Right. And what do you think in the new cinematic, what do you think it did in terms of revealing Bloodhound's gender? Because I see a lot of comments now where they're saying, in the trailer, in the cinematic, it just showed what Bloodhound is. It just showed whether they're male or female. What is your take on it?
My take on that is kind of what I mentioned already. You see, Bloodhound in that trailer has been confirmed by the devs to be in their early teens. So that could mean anything from like 11 to 13 or something like that. And that means basically that they are kind of prepubescent, which means that their voice falls into that range of like what I said, which is girl or young boy. So I
Mm-hmm.
think part of the brilliance of Allegra's performance, Allegra Clark is the voice actress, um, part of the brilliance of her performance was really falling into that good range where the voice can be interpreted either way, despite what anyone might think. And it just gives people who are really into the whole male or female thing, like it gives them like a place to pause and be like, well, we can't really be certain about this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think they've done a good job in the trailer. I didn't see it like other people saw it, where they were like, "Oh, this is for sure proves that Bloodhound is a female or a male." In my opinion, I think it's just like you said. They made it didn't lean one way or the other, and it's because of that age range. At that age range, the vocal cords, you can't really tell whether or not what their sex is at that point. So people jumping to conclusions. I mean, it's hilarious when I see all the comments on it because they act like there's some kind of proof in the trailer when there definitely isn't. What is your reaction though to people who feel like it's their point? I mean, that there's no point in respecting the pronouns of a video game character.
Well, the problem with that is video game characters aren't real people, which is the point that they try to make, and they act like it's a big gotcha thing. But odds are, if you can't respect a fictional character, if you can't respect a fictional character's pronouns, you're probably not the kind of person who's going to do it in real life either.
What I think is part of the problem is that on the internet we have this like mass ability to anonymously comment, and then I see people commenting stuff like on even Gibby's sexual orientation, and they'll say very rude stuff about it. And I think you guys don't realize that while it may be a joke to you, the Gibby stuff, the Bloodhound stuff, it might really affect someone else and hit them personally. So I think that it's always important to try to just respect everyone as much as possible. And I hope that's what you guys take from this video, that it's about respecting others' views, even if you don't agree with them. This goes for religion, politics, everything. It's all about, we have to respect the other people on this earth. That's what we're here to do. We can't just stomp on people and force our opinion on people, and they shouldn't be doing the same to you if they don't agree with you. But besides that, I just want to know, like, what is your story when it comes to being non-binary, what you've had to deal with, what it's been like, what are your internal conflicts, if you have internal conflicts. Just explain to people exactly what you do that brought you to the space also of deciding that you are non-binary and that's what you're going to recognize yourself as and define yourself as.
My journey actually started fairly recently. Like I'd say within the past maybe 3 or 4 years. Um, and it definitely came with exposure to knowledge that non-binary was a thing, like that you could be non-binary. Because in the time and space that I grew up, um, the internet wasn't as big of a thing, and you didn't hear all these different voices talking about gay, straight, lesbian, transgender. And I found out about this knowledge and I sat with it for a while, and I sort of realized that I didn't particularly feel male or female, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought about it long and hard. I thought about how there were things I liked about both sides, but ultimately one specific spot didn't really fit me. So, finding out about the non binary gender option was just a huge relief to me. And I was very fortunate to be accepted by the people in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
know that not everyone has it as good, but it does impact my worldview and the way that I consume media a lot, because as a non-binary person, we see so little representation in the media. And growing up, like if I had known that, if I had seen more non-binary characters on TV or in video games, then I think I would have figured out what I was a lot sooner. And actually, what drew me to Apex Legends was the fact that Bloodhound was in it. I had
Oh.
never heard of Apex Legends before that, and then one of my friends turned to me and said, "Hey, have you heard about Apex Legends? There's a non-binary character in it." And I'm like, "Oh God, I gotta play this." And
That's awesome.
I fell in love with the game. And there might be like similar reactions to people who are gay and found out that Gibraltar was gay, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that might have brought them to the game too. And there's just this whole kind of diverse culture in the game that makes it really a lot emotionally more easy to exist as who you are.
Yeah. And you know what? And I think the last thing I want to end on is, if you could say anything to the devs, what would you say to the writers and the developers that worked on Bloodhound in this game?
I want to give a really profuse thank you for just sticking to their guns and emphasizing so much that Bloodhound is non-binary and to respect who they are. Coming from a game company that, it just really means a lot to me. Allegra, um, Manny, Tom, all the people that were involved in creating the character. I just want to really thank them for their fight to make sure that Bloodhound is recognized as who they are, because it means a lot to me and it means a lot to other people in the LGBT community.
Well, I want to thank you, Street, for taking time out of your day to share your story and to answer questions for people. Um, if there's any last words you have for the viewers, not obviously not just the devs, hopefully maybe some of them will hear your comments there. But if you have any last comments for the viewers, please take all the time you need to say whatever you'd like to them. All ears.
I think what I would want to say, the most thing, is that, like, I get it. Change can be scary. The unknown can be scary. And a lot of people's reaction is to push against things that they don't know about or that they find to be out of the ordinary. But the definition of modern times is change. The fact that the world around us is evolving and we can learn more about new people, new worldviews. And I just want to, maybe leave you with the thought of what it means to live in this modern time. And that means to me being more accepting of people that are different than you.
That's perfect. All right. Thank you so much. And that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment down below for TheStrijdi or myself. I know it's going to be a wild comment section. Hopefully I won't have to disable comments, but I just really hope that you guys take it in and understand where TheStrijdi is coming from, where I'm coming from, where the devs are coming from. And I know this is not like my typical video, but I felt like this is a message that needs to be heard and that a lot of people may not even be informed on. So maybe this helped you guys learn something. I've learned a lot, and that's going to be it for me. Leave a like and a comment, and I will see you next time.